So what I want to cover today is creating KPIs around sales. So one of the most difficult things about agency management and agency scaling is how you manage your sales process. Okay. Now, can somebody verify that you can see my screen? Are you guys seeing my slides? Let's see. Okay, awesome, awesome. Brandon says yes. Yolanda says yes. So I've got a few people here in the Zoom already. Matthew, Brandon, Jim, Yolanda, Bill Crane is jumping in. I see Steve is jumping in. Those of you that are watching in the Facebook group, feel free to jump in the Zoom call and I'll interact with you as well. I'm also watching the Facebook group as well, so that way those of you that may have questions, I can field that as well. So let's go right into the actual training. Give me 1 second. Let me just double check on my phone whether I'm streaming properly. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So let's go right into it. Why are KPIs so important, right? What the term KPI, the acronym really stands for key performance indicators, right? It's kind of a fancy word, kind of doesn't mean a whole lot of things unless you do something with it properly. And quite often people don't measure it right, especially agency owners. And what I want to do is help you think a certain way as you create your KPIs for sales, okay? And you may have different KPIs than other agency owners. Different types of agencies have different sales processes. Your customer avatar may have a different way of interacting with you and how they transact with you. So just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. Quite often, we do a lot of prospecting activities for ourselves. You're doing intro calls, you're generating your leads, you're figuring out your email marketing, paid ads, all these different things. And you have a lot of numbers all over the place, right? You have calls that are happening, demos that are happening. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean a whole lot of things if you don't put it all together so you can make some good decisions, right? So why are tracking KPIs so important? These are the 4 reasons why I believe KPI is, the ability for you to track KPIs is going to give you really good clarity around what's really happening in your business. Imagine this, right? If you had somebody else come into your business and dissect your sales process, what do you think they're going to tell you? What do you think their feedback is going to be? The first thing I would do if I were to come into any agency is really, first of all, figure out your numbers, not your financial numbers, but numbers at your activity level across all your departments. So let's talk about the KPIs around sales, right? The reason why you want that is because if you have numbers that are accurate, you can make decisions that are data driven, right? So data driven decisions is a really huge component to building out a sales process, okay? And just so you have context, everything I'm talking about today is going to be around prospecting, sales, and sales department and sales activities. None of the other KPIs, because your KPIs for fulfillment is drastically different. The context of it is drastically different. The way you manage it is drastically different. For today's conversation is strictly around sales process, sales activities, and sales in general. So you have data-driven decisions, right? If you start tracking your KPIs, you have efficient change timeline, okay? Let me be very clear about what I mean by that. As soon as you see another marketer doing something different, the odds of you making a change around that is going to be high, because guess what? All of us have this disease called shiny object syndrome. And a lot of us think it's not, it's not just like deciding on a niche, deciding on a price. But quite often when we see somebody else's ads or email marketing or funnels, all of a sudden what you're going to be tempted to do is change yours, change your ads, change your funnels, right? And it's something that I've seen across agencies. They don't really make those decisions off of numbers, right? So if you have KPIs, you'll be able to decide when to properly make a change in your process. That's what I mean by being efficient in your change timeline. Let me put a quotation that, so that way there's some clarity there. So the next thing is allocation, right? So the first thing that happens in sales is you yourself create this job, right? That's what happens in entrepreneurship, especially when it comes to sales. You decide to start a business, you slap on an LLC, you learn some Facebook ads or Google ads or branding or whatever you want to offer. And all of a sudden, guess what? You've pretty much hired yourself as the marketer and the sales guy, right? Pretty soon, what you want to do is bring in appointment setters, bring in sales closers, bring in folks that can do account management. So if you don't have KPIs that are buttoned up, you're not going to be able to properly allocate resources. You're not going to know when to hire somebody. You're not going to know what you should put away for hiring, right? You're not going to know when you are causing stress in your process to be able to put a resource there. Okay. Now, the most important thing out of all these things is it's very easy to build biases as you learn content, as you learn more strategies, as you develop more skills in this world of marketing and sales, right? Because what's going to happen is you'll start creating biases, and when you set objectives and goals, it's going to be based on a delusional bias that you may not even recognize that you even have. So when you have KPIs and actual numbers and data, guess what? You disqualify your biases because you can back it up with numbers, right? And say, you know what? I can set realistic objectives around my sales process. I can create realistic objective around what my closer should be doing. I can set realistic objectives around what my appointment setter is going to be doing. I can set realistic objective even if I'm the person that handles all of it. Okay. These are some of the four important reasons why I think tracking KPIs is really this: data-driven decisions, knowing when to make a change, knowing when to put a resource where, and understanding how to put realistic objections, right? Objectives. So now, let's see. Jim West says, does HighLevel have a KPI analytics tool? Well, you can turn HighLevel into a KPI analytics tool, right? It's not designated one for another, but I'll go over some of the features that I think you should consider. Again, if you're on this call and if you've never met me, I'm not your technical guy. Okay, you're going to want to go to Chase or some of the other guys that live in the technology side to help you kind of execute some of the strategic things that I'm sharing with you today. I just want to make that clear. Now, let's talk about the standard marketing agency sales cycle. And some of you may have watched some of my sales trainings around how to set up an intro call, how to do an intro call, how to do a demo call, how to execute a closing call. I've done some trainings in the last several months. If you go back to the YouTube channel, catch some of the replays, that's going to be able to help you kind of go into more context to some of the things that I'm noting. Let me just make sure we're recording. Okay, yeah, we're good. So this right here that I'm sharing with you is the common agency sales cycle in phases. Okay, there's four main phases. Whether you're going to do one call close or two call close, I don't really care. I'm going to tell you from my own experience after building now my third agency, these are the core common phases. Some people name it this and that. I don't really care. I'm just going to share my thoughts on this. So you have the discovery phase, right? This is where you qualify the prospect within your criteria, right? I've shared this before. You have the strategic phase, right? This is where you confirm whether your service is going to fit that market, okay? Then you have the transactional phase, which is where you try to close the deal and set the expectations of what's going to happen, right? It's almost like a closing call. Then you have the consultative stage, which is where you take the keys from the baton. Like if you're on a track and field, like a competition, you're going to want to change that baton over from sales to account management, and that's the consultative phase. Okay. Now, with context to these four phases, I want to break this down even further. So you have going from this phase terminology to even a bit more practical, right? Let's go with intro calls, demo calls, closing calls, and onboarding calls. Now you may be wondering, man, that's a lot of calls, right? But in reality, you're probably doing this subconsciously, just trying to close the deal, right? You may want to jump on an intro call just to make sure that lead is actually serious about whether they want to engage with you or not. Then you have the demo calls. Now, you'll see some agencies combining intro calls and demo calls, and I think that's totally fine depending on how your niche respond to you, right? I was just talking to another gentleman a few minutes ago, and he was telling us, he's in the HVAC space and some of the home contractors, and you're not going to catch them too many times. So for them, quite often they'll just combine the calls into one. So they'll do an intro within a Zoom call, and if they're ready to go, they'll transition into the demo right away. So your KPIs in that process between a one call close and a two call close is going to be a little different. There's going to be a few steps that are, what's the word? There's going to be some variability across your processes, okay? So you want to be conscious of how your process is and build KPIs around your own process. So then you have the closing call. Some people will skip the closing call and decide, you know what, I'm going to send out a proposal. If they sign the deal and pay for the invoice, I consider that to be the close. I don't need to jump on another phone call, and I don't want to add that on to my sales process. And if that's the case, you would skip that step. And then you have the onboarding call. And I'll talk about the onboarding call and how it relates to sales in general. So are you guys following me so far? Is this insightful? I'm just kind of layering out the common sales cycle an agency goes through and how you should look at it. And now let's go through how to track some numbers, right? Let's see. Okay, everybody says yes, it's absolutely insightful. So let's go through some common KPIs that you may want to consider. Now, let me be very clear. Do not get analysis paralysis with KPIs. It is true that what you measure is going to get improved if you measure it right. But it's also true, if you drown in measurements, you're never going to move the needle as well. You're just going to sit around and overanalyze so many different pieces. So my recommendation to you is this slide right here, this chart is going to cover almost every KPI in the agency world from my experience of now building 3 agencies, serving over 14 niches overall, right? These, I want to say probably about 16 KPIs here is going to give you a really, really clear framework of what's happening in your sales process. Let's say you're working as a freelancer out of your garage and you have no employees, you're handling all the sales, and you got less than 5 clients. I promise you there's no need for you to look at all these KPIs. All you need to do is maybe grab 5 of these that is relevant to you in making sure that you start somewhere, right? Now, what you want to do is look at KPIs in a chronological order. What I mean by that is this. I want you guys to imagine something, right? Imagine the journey your client's going to go through from not knowing anything about you to completely going to dinner with you. Okay? That's the journey that I want you to visualize in your mind as you consider some of these KPIs. Okay? So let me go through some of these KPIs. So just, that way you have context to what these even mean, right? So I'm going to just give you the scenario of, let's just say we're going after, I don't know, chiropractors, for example, right? I think there's about 50 or 60,000 chiropractors from what I know about that industry, right? So the first thing that you got to do as a brand is recognize the size of your audience, right? And that's the total size of the audience, not the monthly size of the audience that you are wanting to engage with, right? So you have the entire size of the industry, and from there, you want to decide the size of the audience that you're attacking per month. Now, unfortunately, because the agency game is so competitive, almost all of us have to talk to the entire audience of that industry every single month over and over and over, right? We don't have the luxury to take the audience and split it up into so many pieces and just attack one little corner, because the competitive landscape of agency is so vast, right? So honestly, the requirement for you to survive is kind of like you got to talk to your entire industry every single month, right? So from a KPI perspective, the first KPI that I would look at is, let me do this. Let me go ahead and select all of these so I don't bold it. And let me take it off of bold, and then we'll go over the bolded ones, right? So the first one is the size of the audience per month, right? The second one, this, so let me, should I number this? That'd be easier. That throws it off. Anyways, here's what I want you guys to know. I'm going from order of top left to the bottom right, okay? And it's going down like this to the top and back down, okay? So let's go through this real quick, okay? Feel free to interact with me anytime if you have any questions. This is not overly formalized. I'm just doing this for you guys to be able to build out your systems, okay? So size of the audience per month. That's the first big number that you're going to work off of. The second number that you want to work off of is the number of outbound messages that went out to that industry, right? And the reason why there's a drop off there is because not everybody in the industry is reachable, period. Right? Regardless of how creative you get, and I've shared some ideas of how to be creative, shared ideas on how many different channels you have in previous trainings, right? I've done a funnelytics map out of what your prospecting should look like, and that picture is going to give you this piece of outbound, number of it outbound, right? So let's say you reach out to maybe 15,000 people out of the 26,000 people in that industry. Then the next thing you want to look at is the number of responses from your efforts of outbound. So let's talk about some standard number that I see in how much outbound messaging you have to do. Per day, if your outbound messages are below 500 to 600 across all of your prospecting channels, you're not doing enough, period. Regardless of what industry you're doing, okay? If the amount of messages that you have going outbound, automated or not, organic or not, paid ads or not, it needs to be around the 500, 600 range per day. Because if you get to that point, you'll be able to fill in this KPI of, hey, you know what? Out of my industry, regardless of size, I'm reaching around 15,000 to 17,000 people per month. Right? From there, you're going to see a drastic drop of, depending on the quality of your copywriting, your prospecting messages, the quality of your offer, what you're providing, right? There's going to be a response number. So that's going to be the number of responses after that. So just because they are a response doesn't mean that it's a positive response versus a negative response. So you cannot make the assumption that every response is a good response, right? They're going to come tell you, stop. I've seen marketers like you. Get off my phone. Stop spamming me, right? All these things. So you're going to see a drop off in responses because more than half, sometimes even 60, 70% of responses are not positive responses. Now, here's another layer to responses. Positive responses doesn't mean that they're going to be an active buyer either. Right? They just may be interested. They may like you, right? They just want to get on a call with you because they haven't talked to anybody else that day, right? You just don't know. So there's going to be some discrepancies on these numbers, just so you know. But my intention today, guys, is for you to not get so attached to these. What I want you to do is look at the framework of how I'm showing this to you and create your own KPIs. Create based on your sales process, okay? So after number of responses, the next indicator that I'm going to build out is more than likely going to be number of leads. That basically is parallel with the number of positive responses, right? It's the same thing as positive responses. So I call it number of leads, right? And this is at a monthly level, right? From the number of leads, now I want to know who are my actual active buyers, right? but I'm not there yet. I need to figure out how many intro calls can I generate from the leads that I have on a monthly basis. The next thing is the number of demo calls that are scheduled, right? So we can probably go granular and even say the number of no-shows in between the number of calls scheduled and number of demo calls attended. It achieves the same thing. It doesn't really matter as long as you're keeping track of it, right? Let me see. Right? So that's something I wanted to share with you guys. So the number of demo calls scheduled, right? Then you have the number of demo calls attended. Then after that, some of you may go right into a closing call. So instead of doing proposals sent as a KPI for yourself, maybe what you want to do is do number of closing calls attended or scheduled and attended, right? So what I want to just share with you is the framework and how you think about KPIs, right? And then from there, what I like doing is from number of proposals sent, I want to go into number of proposals signed, because not everybody's going to sign everything right away. They may need another call before they can actually feel comfortable to sign an agreement. I've actually had people sign proposals and contracts and never make it to the onboarding, right? They're like, well, we found another company, or I got to talk to my wife, blah, 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 right? And then you want to do number of payments confirmed after invoices, right? So you have number of proposals signed, number of proposals invoiced, number of payments confirmed, number of onboarding scheduled, right? Because now we're talking about the consultative stage after the closing phase, right? In simpler terms, this, right? The onboarding call. And that's what happens here. Your KPIs could continue into account management all the way through, right? Number of onboarding scheduled for your account managers, number of onboarding attended. Believe it or not, even after they've paid, they're going to disappear for 3 weeks before they're ready to be onboarded. How many of you have seen that, right? You close a client and they disappeared and you're like, what the hell happened, right? And this is where you got to keep track of these numbers, right? Then here's going to be an interesting take that a lot of agencies don't do. Even some of the bigger agencies that have reached out to me for help that are doing like 6 figures a month, they don't do this part. They track rest of the KPIs, but they don't track the total number of sales completion, the total number of clients acquired, and then the most important KPI for your account management is the total number of clients expanded, meaning you bring them in for your core SaaS offer and you want to expand them to your retainers or downsell them on the way down if they're leaving, right? Whatever that expansion, there's another layer to that on account management, right? So these are just sample key performance indicators that I'm sharing with you based on my personal experience. And I typically like doing a 2-call close, right? Because quite often they're on the phone, driving, they're FaceTiming, and they've got kids that's around there. They're not quite often ready to be sold. But if you have the luxury of getting them on an intro call on Zoom, and then you could transition into a demo call, feel free to do that. You just want to make sure you set apart like an hour for an intro call, right? You want to make sure they're indoctrinated to what you're offering before they show up to an intro call. So it's a slightly different process, but at the end of the day, these are some great examples of KPIs that you want to consider, looking at your prospecting channel as an agency and your sales process as an agency, okay? Now, some of the features in HighLevel, I think Jim had asked, what are the features that can possibly help with KPIs? The 2 things that I can think of right away in almost every plan is the Pro plan has attribution reporting and agent reporting. I don't want to go to the technical details of how to set that up and this and that, but there are a good amount of agencies that use agent reporting and attribution reporting for their own sales processes, okay? Now, that's the $497 Pro plan. Maybe you're not there yet, not ready to upgrade, and you're in the agency plan. I think even if you're in the agency plan at the $297 mark, You can still use the dashboard if it's set up properly, and you can still use the opportunities pipeline and still manage through your KPIs, at least at at least at a macro level. Maybe not as granular as you can go with the pro plan on agent reporting and attribution reporting. Now, that's all I got for y'all, guys. I just wanted to share the idea of KPIs with you, what to look for, why you should consider certain KPIs, the differences in the sales process and cycles. What are some takeaways for you guys? Let's open it up to a lot of you that are watching. Let's go through a Q&A. That I don't have anything else outside of that I want to share today, because what I want to do is really just keep in context to KPIs around sales and prospecting. Yes, you can build KPIs around account management, your ad buyers, your project managers on time to onboarding speed and fulfillment speed and all these different things. KPI is like a generic philosophy that you can use in multiple areas of business, right? But when it comes to sales and prospecting, I just wanted to help you guys at least identify some key KPIs that I like using myself. Now, even with the newest agency that we just started, meaning myself and my business partner, Luis, we have the number of outbound because we know how much prospecting we're doing. We have the number of leads, number of intro calls, number of demo calls attended, and total signed, right? We probably have 6 out of these 16. That gives us enough information to make these decisions, enough data to make decisions around proper KPIs. I know when not to hire, when to hire, right? I know when to add on another prospector if I have to for VA. I know when to bring in another closer because I have the numbers in front of me. I can create realistic objectives around the numbers that are happening around the activities of sales. Now, let me see. What are some questions that I'm seeing? Jim, yeah. I mean, right now. So, Jim, if you want to unmute yourself, let's go through it. The thing is, I just roll it all into like a simple Word doc, or I look at the end of the day, I know what my team is going to tell me of what they did. So my VA is going to tell me how many people they reached out to, how many positive responses they got, and they're going to put it all in the Slack channel, right? At the end of the week, my account manager will go through, or my operations director, when we hire them, will go through and put all the KPIs together across different departments. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can put it all in a Post-it note if you want. At the end of the day, the key is to track it properly so you can make decisions. Jim, does that help?
Yeah, no, it does help. Thanks. And we, before coming over to Go HighLevel, I used another system that was built on, for telemarketing, that was built on Twilio, and it's fairly easy to. And I'm not a tech guy either, so when I say it's easy, it's not. It's always not as easy.
Yeah, it's never easy.
I can pull some of these into a kind of a makeshift dashboard and send to you. I can also send you a couple of pictures on what we did, but I think because HighLevel is such a great open system, you just have to touch the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you can go again. It depends on where you are in business. I don't know where you are in business. So like if let's say you're starting out with less than 5 clients, the importance you should give to KPI is going to be drastically different versus if you're at 10K or 15K or 100K or 250K a month, right? At 250K a month, the hardest part is to find the data. You have so much activities going on across so many departments. Nobody is keeping track of these numbers properly. So when you go through every single department, you're going to see there's skewing happening. There's bad data everywhere. So now you got to get a data analyst and maybe a scientist that's going to bring in these numbers. So Jim, I think it's great that you keep track of KPIs already with some of the things that you've done. And yes, you could use HighLevel for it. but I don't really care. My intention is to tell you to start tracking these numbers, right? If you want to get technical, if you're on the pro plan, you can use agent reporting for how your appointment setters and closers are performing and your clients, for example.
Okay.
Remember, your KPIs you can track for your clients as well as a weapon of choice when you go in on account management and say, you know what? We've done our share of the work. You're not holding up your bargain, Mr. Client, and doing the sales properly, right? And then all of a sudden they take you seriously about what you provide to the table, right? So at the end of the day, my intention is to tell you the numbers do matter. Tracking them matters. You can get creative as you want. I mean, it's up to you. But remember, the point of it is to make decisions. It's not to track, right? The point of it is not to make fancy sheets and systems around KPIs. The point is to make decisions that's going to move the revenue or stop the bleeding of revenue. One or the other. Either you're moving forward or backward. You just almost never stay in the same place in business, right? But that's great feedback, Jim. Let's see, who else has another question? Let's see. Matthew says, got a question about the dashboard. Yes, sure, Matthew. If you want to unmute yourself, go for it.
Yeah,
Those of you that are watching in the Facebook group, put your questions down. Carla, I see that you're there. I'm going to go through your questions as well. If you found it helpful and if you're in the Facebook group watching, give me some feedback so that way I can contribute to you. Matthew, let's go with your question on the dashboard.
okay. Well, I know you mentioned that in the agency plan, you can set up your dashboard in a certain way to be able to track that data.
Yeah.
Do you know specifically like which ways to set it up?
Again, I'm not a tech person, right? But I can tell you it's possible. Now, most of the data in your dashboard with the agency plan, the 297 plan, is going to be based on your opportunity pipelines, right? A lot of it is based on pipelines. So what you want to consider is creating a pipeline for your prospecting activities and sales activities as an agency. So first things first, you need to have your own sub account for sales for your own agency, right? When you have that, you should be able to set up a pipeline that makes sense for your sales process. And then from there, that data should automatically come into your dashboard if it's set up properly. But I would probably jump in with some of the partners that are here, maybe ping somebody in the Facebook group and see if somebody will jump in with you and show you, especially for sales, how they set up HighLevel. But we do have hundreds and hundreds of sales teams and sales businesses that use HighLevel today, both on the agency plan and the pro plan. I think the pro plan, the agent reporting is really, really cool, and attribution reporting as well. But the agent reporting is really, really exciting for a lot of big sales groups. But Matthew, I personally cannot help you on the tech side there, but
Yeah, I got it. I got it. Thank
it
you.
definitely is doable. Carla says KPI is so important. Yes, absolutely. And she says it helps her with prospecting and keeps her focused. Yeah, absolutely. So if you wake up as an agency owner and not know what to do on sales and activities, you may be thinking that you're just tired and you're unmotivated and maybe you're discouraged from people saying no, or you not know, understanding something. But quite often, if you base your mental health as a business owner around numbers, you're going to be able to chug along a little bit more easier, because what you're going to feel is you have clarity around activities and numbers around activities. So quite often, I've always leveraged numbers to be a driver for myself to work like a machine if I have to, right? I can open up my Excel sheet. I see how much money is in the bank. I see how many, prospects am I reaching. I see how many leads have I generated, how many demos that I can attend. And it keeps me going versus me just coming into a day and I'm just like, oh man, it's Thursday. Yeah, I watched a bunch of webinars on SaaS, this and that. And you're like, oh crap, like where do I even start? Right? Don't get into that mode of drowning yourself in information. I promise you, no matter how much information you're consuming, all you need is just do one thing a day. That's it. One thing a day, or even if you did one thing a week, that should be 52 things you accomplish for your business in a year. At the end of that year, you're going to be a different business. You should be if you're honest with that, right? So it doesn't take a whole lot to move the needle in business as long as you're disciplined yourself, right? And the fastest way for you to be disciplined mentally is going to be with KPIs, in my opinion, especially if you're an analytical person, right? And I'm not even much of an analytical person, right? This helped me quite a bit when I started tracking my numbers. Let's see. What are some questions that you guys have around prospecting and sales, even maybe outside of KPIs? And if it relates to KPIs, no worries, I can address that. But let's go through a couple of you. Bill, how's it going, man? Bill Crane, let's go with your questions first if you have any.
I don't really have any questions. I just
Okay, what was your biggest takeaway?
my biggest takeaway is I didn't realize when I dove into this that I could really build my KPIs to match and mirror my pipeline.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because, and also remember, you can automate the activities of your pipeline, right?
Yep.
So you can set up triggers and all these things. Let's say let's say you set up your pipeline around your KPIs, and let's just take 5 of them, right? Instead of everything. Let's just do
Right.
number of leads, number of intro calls, number of demos attended, number of proposals sent. Those 5 things could be 5 triggers and 5 campaigns. As soon as you drag and drop a lead into the next phase, a system automatically does all the work for you, right?
Exactly.
So we don't have to work so hard in sales anymore if you set up HighLevel properly. But that's good feedback, Bill. Is really just taking opportunities board and being creative with it, right? And it doesn't take a whole lot. It's, you know, even for me, it's simple enough to set up my pipeline for sales properly. Okay, so that's good. Let's see. Any follow-up to that, Bill? I think you're.
No, I'm just I'm neck deep in HighLevel right now, learning it, and I'm just loving it. So
Okay, awesome, buddy. Hopefully these sessions are good.
for sure.
Let's go with Jim West. If you have a follow-up, I know we interacted a little bit. Jim, you have any other questions or anything you want to add on to what we're saying? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. Yolanda or Matthew Sanchez, anything you guys want to ask?
So this is Yolanda.
Hey, Yolanda, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Let me turn up my volume. Go for it.
Is that better?
Uh, is her audio a little low for other people, or is it just me? Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, if you want to type your question in the chat, that might be helpful. But I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm gonna talk loud.
Oh, that works. I can hear you now.
Okay, maybe my charger. Okay, so first of all, I don't even know what I'm doing, period. Keeping 100 with y'all and everything. So listen, so basically I believe I'm on the right live. I
Okay.
do seminars and I'm trying to bring traffic a certain way so I don't have to do anything, right? Or at least get my team to learn how to do it, and you all put it in a platform type of setup. So first of all, am I in the right place? And like he said, it's very interesting, a lot of the things that you're saying that I didn't even really know about.
Yeah. So help me understand what your business is about. Are you an agency owner?
So I am a sublimation owner, and I mentor 27,000 people.
Okay.
We're going on a tour, and basically I'm trying to eliminate them inboxing me and filling out a form and paying for registration instead of them coming to me. You follow me? So
Okay.
everything is already set up, everything is funneled that way. However, I'm still getting them inboxing me, and I'm trying to avoid that because it's slowing everything else process down that I'm doing, kind of like what you were saying about time consuming
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get on a plan that's going to, plus I'm doing a huge Facebook push as well.
Okay.
Budget. So I'm trying to get that done with you guys as well. So that's the reason why I'm here. I'm just trying to understand how to incorporate all this to what you
Yeah.
talked.
So within HighLevel, for you to execute out something like that, you can set up your own payment portal with the landing page and Stripe integrated, right? You can set up an onboarding based on those completion of forms into a trigger that'll set up new things. What you probably want to do is connect with somebody that has worked with that industry or somebody that solved this issue. And what I would do if I were you is probably post in the Facebook group about the scenario, or you want to jump on a call with one of our consultants. So we have 3 different teams within HighLevel. One is the agency team, right? The other is the consulting team, and the third is the development team. But quite often, the consulting team can do a whiteboard session with you, business strategize with you, and then help you leverage HighLevel for whatever strategy they come up with together with you, okay? So for you to do that, you can do it 2 different ways. One, you can go to a marketplace call and talk to a marketplace team member. They will show you how to jump on a agency jumpstart or a consulting package, and you can go from there. Or reach out to some of the partners in the community, other agencies in the community, and leverage them. But that's going to be probably my first 2 recommendations.
Okay, so how do I get the link to sign up for the other one in order to get the?
Yeah, it's going to be, yeah. So if you want to talk to somebody on Marketplace, what you want to do is go to speakwith.us/marketplace.
Okay.
That's going to take you to a funnel that looks like this, which I created a few months ago. And you're going to have to answer like a 1-minute questionnaire that helps identify what are you trying to solve. And then one of our marketplace team members will jump on a Zoom call with you, walk you through what we can do for you with our consulting team.
Okay. I know I was on one call with one of them, so I'm assuming there's someone else I have to be on the phone with because she told me she didn't handle that. So I guess that's why I'm on here with you guys. But okay, I'll go back. I'll fill the form out again and then try to see if I can set up something.
Well, yeah, if you've already tried that, why don't you reach out to me on Facebook, on Messenger, and I'll walk you through that worst case scenario. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Let's go with Matthew Sanchez. You have any follow-up to that? Any follow-up to what you asked before? Anything that I can contribute? Is there a good tool to determine population size versus competition versus compatible prospects? Total number of size, yes, you can. It's very easy to Google that and find that. The total number of competition it's not gonna be that accurate, even if you find something, because every single month there's a new marketer going after a new niche all the time. So it doesn't mean they're true competitors. It just means they raise the amount of activities that's going to the prospects, right? And then compatible prospects. I don't know what you mean by compatible prospects, Matthew. It just depends on what you're offering and see if your offer is compatible to those prospects. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay, buddy. Let's see. Tom, how's it going, my man? Any questions? Any things that you want to add on to the conversation?
Good, buddy. Hey, as usual, solid information. No, coming from the car business of 25 years, owning my own dealerships and whatnot, the KPI, this whole thing we used to track, and it's invaluable. You cannot manage what you don't inspect.
You can't.
And laying this all out like you have it's invaluable. I mean, it's the only way you can, in my opinion, it's the only way you can run a company. It's the only way you can manage.
It's the only way you can be a real company.
Yeah, and it's through the actionable, it's through the results that you get through here that you make the decisions that move you to the next step and grow your company. And this is the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
If I did have one question, maybe, would be, are you saying create a pipeline separate outside of my agency to just track all the numbers to do this?
No, 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 no. Your current existing pipeline should
Right.
be able to allow you to think in a KPI mindset.
Got it.
Otherwise, that pipeline is not set up properly.
Got it. No,
Set
I
up
got you.
based on
Yeah.
convenience. But no, you just like a lot of people don't even have that, Tom. And those are the people that I'm really addressing. They don't set up a pipeline either. They're just in the conversations, just pounding away one bunch of messages. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to just layer this out. But yeah, kudos to you, man. I think I'm excited for you. I know we've got some one-on-ones before.
Right.
You're gonna take a niche and grab it by the horn and really kill it. I'm excited for you.
Well, I got to tell you, Paulson, you're absolutely, your sales mindset is really very closely aligned with mine. And so I get a lot of great positive information. I'm like you,
Awesome.
I'm not so technical. I'm not the, the chases and those guys. I'm not that guy. I'm more into the sales.
Yeah, they're too brilliant for me.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I can't even grasp their stuff.
Yeah, I can't get into the weeds, and I won't be a happy human being for sure if you ask me to do that.
Me neither.
But awesome
anyway,
stuff, man.
keep up the good work, buddy.
You're welcome. I sure will try. Let's see. Let me go with Sarah. Sarah with, I think it's Merlino Made. Is that right? Sarah, if you have any questions or anything you want to add on, let's go with your questions.
I don't really have any questions. I'm just starting with HighLevel now. So I'm just trying to learn more just so I know, I don't know, kind of what I'm looking at really.
Yeah. So how long have you been with HighLevel? I mean, when did you start with us?
Well, I messed up and I went with Funnel Gorgeous.
Okay.
But I didn't realize that I couldn't take, because it says unlimited sub accounts, unlimited domains. So I wanted to go with you guys, but then they had like really cool funnels, right? Pretty funnels.
Okay. Sure.
But so I'm switching over now.
Got it. Well,
having trouble with my domain.
Got it. Yeah. Welcome either way. What we want to do is make sure you're successful and everybody else that you came in with is successful as well. Any big takeaways from today's session for you?
I mean, the KPIs, I'm really new with those. So all of it was just kind of.
Yeah, what I would do if I'm in your position is really just like start with maybe 3 KPIs. And that's how you're going to start building something, right? About your sales process. Like, I don't know where you are in business, Sarah, and I don't want to make any judgments here, but if I'm in the position of just starting out, or maybe I'm established already with like 100 clients, either way, I want to start off with like maybe 3 KPI indicators and start tracking, right? And what it's going to do for me is get to this mindset of making decisions off of numbers, right? And then what you're going to want is like more detailed numbers, and you're going to find out that all the numbers you have are not going to help you. You need more data to back up your decision. So I would say start with 3 and then go to 5 indicators, then go to maybe 10 indicators. I mean, these are the common 16 that I've seen, $250,000 monthly agencies track across 2-3 teams, right? And I see freelancers that are starting off of their garage, kind of like when I started off. I just went with like 5 things. I was like, okay, how many sales activities am I totally involved in a week, right? How many conversations are actual leads? How many leads actually need my service, right? I didn't even know to track these specific indicators. I made up my own indicators to just get started, right? So this gives you even a leg up on what to even look for to get you started. So hopefully this was helpful.
It is. I'm tracking right now all my calls, like right now, how many calls I'm putting out or emails. I'm having a hard time with my offer, I think. I don't really know. And it's not even so specific. I kind of tried to make a entry offer.
Okay.
Everyone's just saying it's too high, which I don't understand because I know it's not. So I don't know. They're obviously not seeing the value, right?
Sure. So I mean, let's break that down. what's the number of outbound messages you send in a week?
Right now I slowed down only because I'm trying to switch the platforms.
Okay.
But I mean, I wasn't doing hundreds, so I know it's not enough.
Yeah,
It's just,
for an agency,
I'm not as
or a
confident in
digital
myself, I
marketing.
think.
Got it. So for an agency or a freelancer, or if you're under, let's say, $25,000 as a retainer monthly, you need to be around the 500 to 600 per day level for you to really attack an industry. Now, I'm not saying you yourself do that. I'm saying hire VAs, build a prospecting system. I've done other trainings on all those areas. Feel free to go to the YouTube channel. You'll see thousands of dollars worth of training that I've done for literally
Yeah, I've
free
watched
from
a
my
bunch of
own.
them.
Yeah, and it's going to give you a framework to get started on prospecting, right? But regardless of your offer, you need to talk to more people, right? And and honestly, yes, your offer is a whole different topic in itself, but I promise you, if you quadruple the price of your offer and not change what you actually fulfill, you will attract a different crowd, right?
Okay.
If you're charging, let's say, $500 for a funnel, right? Instead of 500, if you start charging $3,000 for a funnel, you're going to attract a different crowd. Maybe sometimes a price lift is all it takes for you to start attracting the right responses, right? Sometimes the opposite. Maybe you're trying to be a volume agency, volume business, and you want to go the other way, right? If you're going to go in pricing, there's only two strategies. There's only one strategy. To me, there's only one core strategy. Either you got to be the most expensive or you got to be the cheapest.
Yeah, cheapest and do more,
If
right?
you're in the middle, you're going to lose.
Okay.
100%, right? So either charge 5,000 for your funnels or charge 150, right? The 150 better be like McDonald's where you're able to fulfill high volume. The problem happens when you offer something for 150 and you're fulfilling like they're 5,000. And the reason why most people do that is they don't track KPIs and fulfillment of how long it takes, what's the onboarding like, how much work is there, what did you charge, how many hours it took. Like there's KPIs in all those aspects as well. But Sarah, thanks for your transparency and telling us where you're coming from. And hopefully this was a good, help for you. Let's go with Carlos. I see Carlos, is it Obregon?
Obregon.
Okay. Oh man, I was close.
Yeah, you were close.
So tell me about what you got going on. Let's go with your questions or anything you want to add on. Let's do that.
Yeah. So, by the way, I just joined. I joined in a little bit late, so I wasn't able to see the full presentation here. But
man, you missed the whole thing. We gave away.
I know.
For free.
I know. I was talking to one of the. I was talking to a customer rep, and she's like, "Hey, you got to join in." So, anyways, that's how I landed on the presentation. But
nice.
Anyways, for the most part, I'm new to HighLevel. I've used several platforms. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, definitely new, getting started. I don't really know too much about it. I'm still getting acclimated to the whole platform. Now, we've used several platforms for our agency before, from Vendasta and just different tools. Now we're really trying to consolidate, right? So, HighLevel is something that we're looking at and we're curious about. Right now, it's just really getting acclimated and getting to know the process between, setting up the Twilio accounts, right? That's new for us too, tracking the Twilio. So all that stuff is new, but I mean, I have a more direct question, and it's really what I reached out to the customer service rep for. Yeah. And really I want to talk about outsourcing. So I know that HighLevel, there is outsourcing available, right, for agencies, for funnel building.
Yeah, there's market.
Yeah. Got you. So exactly. So now I'm looking to do a campaign, and I kind of want to try it out with you guys. And I have a campaign that we want to run. And with this Facebook and Instagram ad campaign, I know right now it's about $500 to outsource it to you guys to get it done. But I did read a little bit on what that comes with. But does that, I'm not sure, maybe, you can ask this question, but does that come with the ability for us to choose what assets we want to put on that the ad campaign, and how many variables of video can we use? Because my goal is to get 9 different videos to test out and optimize, right, on those 9 videos.
Yeah.
So how would that work?
So let me just give you a quick rundown of Marketplace. All the services that are in Marketplace come from ourselves, which is the HighLevel agency. HighLevel has its own agency, the same company that created the software, right?
Gotcha.
So the fulfillment is coming from us. On average, we handle about 500-600 clients a month. We run about close to $3 million in ad spend. Needless to say, we know what we're doing when it comes to fulfillment. So what we typically do on onboarding is we listen to you and tell us what your strategy is, and then we will provide feedback on that strategy, because at the end of the day, we want you to be able to have a successful relationship with your clients, right? And then as far as offers are concerned, right now, Marketplace 2.0 is being built out. We are like literally a few days away from that being launched. I know it's already in Q&A. So you're about to see a whole new range of products and services with different things in Marketplace. What I would do if I were you, Carlos, is jump on a call with our Marketplace team, right?
Yeah.
They'll do a one-on-one session with you, go over your clients, go over some strategies, kind of give you feedback on what kind of services and products you can use from our team. And you're going to do that at this particular link, speakwith.us/marketplace. There's a quick 1-minute intake form about what you're trying to achieve, and they'll jump on a Zoom with you. And that's going to be the best thing, just so you know. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
And on the live calls like this, what I do is this: help you scale. Every single day I wake up to figure out how do I scale 7,500 agencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I run 3 agencies myself, and I've scaled them too, right? So I can give you practical applications of like, dude, you need to hire a VA. Your account managers are not doing their job. Your sales guys are not doing their job, or you need to be running 3-4 grand in ads. Like, I can tell you so many different aspects, and that's how I create these public trainings for you guys at like no cost, right? If you're a pro agency, right, we have 2 plans. We have the agency plan and the pro plan. The pro plan comes with more features around SaaS, Twilio rebilling, all the new features that we're rolling out is in the pro. And there I hold like private invitationals for agencies sometimes that are doing like 100K a month, right? They want different information versus the agencies that are under 10,000. And then we also work with agencies that are doing like 7 figures a month, and they're trying to get to a national organization level. So we hold private events sometimes just as an invitational, and that's in the early stages, just so you know. But at the end of the day, like, if you're here, you're part of our family. Our intention is to, number 1, scale you as a company, right? And number 2, help you have a sustainable business, not just this churn burn model of classic agency, right? That's why SaaS is important. That's why some of the offers we have is important. And you know, there's so many resources. You can go to Chase's webinars. He's going to do technology walkthrough of what's going on in HighLevel. I wear, you know, business development and sales hat. I'm the only sales guy here, right? So, and my own agencies too. So that's the lane I lay in. So appreciate you being here. Jump on a one-on-one, and they'll be able to help you on the Marketplace questions. They also have a reference guide, and they'll be able to give that to you as well. And also, Carlos, if you go to help.gohighlevel.com, there are case studies and stuff like that over there. And that looks like this, and you go down to the bottom where it says Marketplace and Sales Trainings. Let me see if I can click on here and go to some of this right here, Marketplace Quick Reference Guide. That one is very updated for Marketplace 2.0 that's coming out. Okay, that has the new products and services in there. Okay.
Gotcha. Thanks so much, man.
For sure. Let's see. Let me go with who else is here? Carla Andrews, how are you, my friend? Carla, you there? Uh-oh, I don't hear Carla, guys. Okay, I'll come back to you, Carla. We don't hear your audio just yet. So we'll come back to you. And I know Joe that just jumped in. If you have any questions, let me know, buddy. Let me check if what was that?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, awesome, perfect. Any questions or anything you want to add to the conversation? And I know Joe that just jumped in. If you have any questions, let me know, buddy.
1 second.
Let me check.
Okay, I just realized I had my Facebook page was on also.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
That's why I just turned it off. Appreciate it. Just
No
been
worries.
really been pushing. Actually, this was good timing because been looking into really diving deeper into KPI. I've been in the corporate world, so KPI was something that we lived by, and so
Yeah.
for when it comes down to really getting, a plan in place and really setting goals as
Yeah.
to I just signed up for the SaaS. And so I
Yeah.
want to definitely, what you've given is really golden as far as these 16 steps. So literally I'm going to go and connect it with all my triggers and with all the, with my
Yeah.
pipeline.
Yeah, and
to
you
make
may
sure.
not need all 16 for your pipelines. I think you can
Exactly.
get away with maybe 10 to start off, or maybe 5.
Yes, I think I'm looking more just I saw about 8 of them that I want to kind of focus on for now, so I won't like overwhelm myself because I can do that over information, right? So with those 8, we'll be adding them and adjusting them into my pipelines,
Amazing.
setting them up, and then actually even when I connect my clients, literally have this set up for them so it can make their jobs easier. Yes.
That's a big piece because, quite often the business owners, we all know that they don't know a whole lot about business. They're just passionate about their niche, right? Especially local businesses, mom and pop or family oriented businesses. They're really passionate and great people. They just want to get started, right? So you coming in with the mentality of a consultant, an entrepreneur, a CEO level person, and coming in doing reporting around KPIs or your account management style being driven off of numbers is going to really lower your churn rate for your agency services, right? They're going to trust you. So even if you go to SaaS as an offer, right? Maybe you want to even lead with KPIs as a prospecting tool to level them up to the retainers that you want them to, right? So KPIs could be leveraged even for reporting purposes, like account management purposes. And if your account managers want to level up and expand, and sometimes you think of these things like KPIs, and it's really hard to visualize it, especially if you're a one-man show in the beginning, right? It's hard to imagine a world of other people working for you. It's hard to imagine a world where hundreds of businesses are relying on you and your performance every single day to thrive, right? But my recommendation is to start slow, start small, go 1, 2, 3 step at a time, and slowly build. Slowly build over time. You'll be able to create something really magical with numbers.
It works. Because of that, adding more data. My whole thing is always be data friendly with the clients, and so I kind of tested it with 6 of my clients, and let's just say they've been with me 2 years with no problem, no hesitation, because you may not trust me, but you're going to trust those numbers. And when they see those numbers moving, we are able to make like different decisions about what to do next. To the point, I remember I rushed into one of my clients and said, are you going to sign up for, because I wasn't kind of paying attention after I've set him up with his account. And I was like, you got to, there's a PPP that you can apply for. And he said, well, and we're smack in the middle of pandemic. He said, well, sorry to tell you, Carla, we tripled in our revenue. I said, oh, okay. So I won't be eligible to even apply for it. So we laughed about that, but just to show you, by watching those numbers, it makes a big difference. What you measure is how you grow.
Yeah, 100%. And what you measure gets more critical as you grow, right? Let's say you get to 2 people on your team. When they ask you for raises, when they ask you if they can wear a new hat, if you don't have numbers, you're not going to be able to box them in and say, hey, listen, your strength is this, and I want you to stay in your strength. They're not going to trust you if you don't show that with numbers, right? So even beyond just clients and prospecting and sales, even just managing your own team and leadership there is going to have a lot of fluidity if you have numbers to back up and get really the buy-in of your own team, right? And so numbers are really important, and it's important that you don't get skewed numbers as you build KPIs and these things. But guys, today's session was great. I try to do it as short and sweet as possible without overloading like a 2-hour session. And that's something I'm going to focus on a little bit more so you guys can watch it fast and things like that. Thanks for being here, guys. For those of you that have questions, I see Bill had asked a question. Bill, yes, we can provide all of your agency services on your behalf as fulfillment. You don't have to be doing Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, funnel building, campaign building, none of that stuff. We can handle a lot of that for you with our own agency and let you be the superstar in your relationships, okay? And that's going to help you sell more and prospect more and really focus on sales more than anything else. And the way you're going to be able to do that is by going into your software dashboard, your agency dashboard. On the left side, there's a button called Marketplace, and you can see exactly what we offer. If you go to the help desk, you'll see the case studies and some of our experience as well. If you want to jump on a one-on-one call with us, go to speakwith.us/marketplace. We'll be able to answer a lot of questions for you. But everybody that jumped in, thanks for jumping in, interacting with me, being so gracious and helpful here to a lot of fellow agency owners as well. We're excited for you. Within the next week or so, or next 2 weeks, we're going to have the next layer of SaaS rollout. If you haven't upgraded to the Pro plan, seriously consider when you're going to do that. At least plan out a time frame of when you're going to do that. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying at least look at some of the features that are already here and how you can leverage that. And if you think you can leverage it and create markups and provide something for your clients, it's worth the investment. So regardless, let me know if you have any questions. If you message me on Facebook, I typically answer. If you message me on Slack, if you're in the Slack channel, I typically answer. And we're all here to help you, okay? Have a good rest of your afternoon.